Hello, everyone. I'm Cheryl Hicks. I'm the Executive Director and CEO of the Toilet Board Coalition. We are a business platform building the sanitation economy with our network of partners. And I'm really pleased today to be joined by Divyang, Water Mission at Tata Trust. Tata Trust has been a longtime partner of the Toilet Board Coalition and really been catalytic in helping us to bring the Toilet Board Coalition model to India. Divyang is also now one of the founders and the current chair of the Toilet Board Coalition India chapter. In this interview series, we are shedding spotlight on the business solutions for the sanitation economy. And Divyang would like to turn it over to you to share with us some of the solutions, business solutions that we've been working on with Tata Trusts in India.
Hi, good morning, Cheryl, and it's great to be part of this video series. It's a great initiative to actually focus on, the business aspects of the sanitation, which sometimes it's not very openly talked subject. The trust actually have been working on this sanitation program as an integrated part of our water sanitation and hygiene initiative in the trust. And in India, I just would like to highlight three areas where we focus on sanitation. One is on rural sanitation, specifically providing individual household latrines to the communities, specifically the underserved communities. And that actually looks at the value chain, starting from the behavioral change to supply chain, to provide them a technology options so they can choose from the best possible technological as well as the economic options available to them. And the critical element of that in terms of how we can change their mindset about actually not only constructing the toilet, but I think using by all family members. That is very, very critical element of our overall initiative, specifically on the sanitation front. As a part of the Toilet Board Coalition, I think we look at other two spectrums of the sanitation. One is about looking at the data and its usage for making a sanitation economy smart, specifically in the urban areas. And as a part of that, we have associated with the Toilet Board Coalition to do a pilot project in Pune, where I think the data collection on sanitation ecosystem has been one of the most critical. And as a part of a journey towards becoming a smart sanitation city, I think the Toilet Board Coalition, in partnership with the Pune Municipal Corporation, has done substantial work on data, where we actually focus on how we can actually get collect the data and use that data analytics to decision support system to enable the various stakeholders, including the government, as well as the user, how they can use this data for enhanced service level for sanitation in urban areas. And at the same time, it also look at the other spectrums of health, community well-being, and also a better management system, both on a service level as well as on a consumer level. So how that could be also linked effectively using the data. And that I think becomes one of the core program for the trust to support and work with the Toilet Board Coalition in Pune. The third program, as a part of the Toilet Board Coalition partnership, is on a circular economy. When we talk about the circular economy, I think we need to talk about waste as a resource. And India being a dominant with the agriculture-based livelihood, we need to also explore opportunities that how the agriculture waste can be used for creating a part of a circular economy. And as a part of that engagement, we have started a program in Assam, specifically looking at the tea gardens, that the agriculture waste as well as the other degradable waste could be used as a resource to either generate the energy or use it for the fertilizer or any other productive products, so which can actually be used for the agriculture ecosystem. So looking at the circular economy as a kind of providing a better solutions in the larger area of the country, specifically in the agriculture sector, how we can actually define some silver lining movements in terms of bringing up new technology innovations in that. So these are the three different perspectives I think we have been engaging with the Toilet Board Coalition since our association over a period of last 3.5 years.
Thank you, Divyang. And you so eloquently described there the system of the sanitation economy. The digitized, smart sanitation economy that all really need to come together to realize the benefits both for business and society. And in 2017, we worked with you, Tata Trust, and your Tata Consulting Group to produce this report called the Sanitation Economy in India, where we estimated the market size, of these three economies of the sanitation economy at over a $62 billion opportunity per year by 2021, and we're just updating that work now to see the progress that we've made. And so stay tuned for that new piece of work coming out later this year. And also you've described really the critical role that that Tata Trust has played in helping us to bring together new partners around these themes. Pune with the Smart Sanitation City project, and in Assam, India, with the first circular sanitation project in a tea plantation. So thank you, Divyang. And one of the things that has been accelerating because of the COVID-19 crisis on global health and hygiene is a new look into the opportunities of smart sanitation, particularly around the monitoring and detecting of disease through wastewater systems, sewage, and of course the full sanitation system. And this is now really being implemented across the world, and we see this as a big opportunity. Can you maybe share your perspectives on the trends that are being accelerated by COVID-19 in relation to the sanitation economy in India?
Yes. Thanks. I think COVID-19 is obviously it's a global health crisis, and I think it brings actually the hygiene element in the center stage, and that's I think quite important for institutions, organizations who have been working in the water sanitation and hygiene space, both in terms of a private sector perspective as well as the government perspective, because it also posed a huge challenge, I would say, for actually, how we can manage this COVID-19 situation. But I think at the same time, it also opens a door for and opportunities for a lot of private sector engagement. Just give you one small example in terms of in India, in Bombay specifically. I think if we look at, Bombay, 60% population actually resides in the unorganized slums area or unorganized housing areas, where the access to sanitation is a very challenging space. And most of the people actually use the community sanitation toilet. And now in context of COVID-19, this becomes a very big challenge, that if there are multiple people using the same space for the community toilet, how effectively they will be able to follow the social distancing norms, how they will be able to follow the hygienic norms. And I think in that context, I see an opportunity, because there are many service providers as well as some private sector player who could create better products for cleaning as well as maintenance of the systems. So I think the service delivery perspective, the maintenance of this system becomes the most critical. And I think there have been some great success stories we could actually understand from Bombay, because I think they could contain this whole spread in one of the Asia's biggest slum areas. I think I think maybe people could take that opportunity as and provide appropriate solutions. And apart from that, there are institutions who have actually provided a better cleaning reagents. And I think that actually opened up a lot of opportunities for for the entrepreneurs and other people to actually being a part of this business. So I see that COVID has actually posed a lot of challenge, but because they actually also bring an opportunity, specifically the hygiene sector, I think the from small to medium to large scale businesses, I think will get a good areas for investment as well as the innovation in going forward. So that's what I understand based on my experience working on the COVID-19 response program on behalf of the Tata Trust, where actually we have done specifically two areas. We worked with the sanitation workers, the frontline workers, which are, I think, the frontline warriors for us in COVID-19, because they need to keep the city clean. They need to maintain all community toilets clean so that it cannot spread further. So we work with the frontline workers. We help them provide access to the hand sanitizers, provide them some better equipment so that they can use it for their regular cleaning processes. We also did the health checkups of many of these health workers, because if they have a comorbidity issues or challenges, which I think is substantially high in the sanitation workers system, that they have a higher risk in terms of going in open and work. So how actually provide them a health services so they can actually take precautions and reduce their risk to the exposure to the COVID-19 situation. Apart from that, we also started actually providing trainings to the caretakers of community toilets, because they need to follow some specific protocols. There are some guidelines now been issued, but how these guidelines are reaching to the caretakers of community toilets. So we have worked with the Bombay Municipal Corporation and actually help them in actually providing this training using the digital mediums, so that the caretakers take some specific precautions when actually they manage the community toilets, and also some of the government officials who are going to actually oversee the operations of the community toilets and caretaking processes, how this could be enhanced further as we move forward. So I see that there is an opportunity to work towards the fostering new ideas and innovations in addressing the challenges, specifically in the urban space for the under the COVID-19 situation.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Divyang. Really articulating there how COVID-19 has brought to center stage the importance of hygiene, the vulnerabilities in our current systems of sanitation and hygiene, and also the inequities, the extreme inequities that need to be addressed. And with this acceleration of the awareness around these critical challenges and being able to protect ourselves in the future, we see a need, as you said, for more solutions, more innovation around the sanitation economy system. So thank you, Divyang. Finally, really interested in your perspectives on the newly launched TBC, which you are the chair, and that was launched at our Global Sanitation Economy Summit in Pune, India last year in November, and officially kicked off its operations in January this year, 2020. Can you talk to us a little bit about the vision that you have for the Toilet Board Coalition and the opportunities to accelerate the sanitation economy in India, together with the founding partners, and maybe you can talk a little bit about that partnership as well.
Okay. So I think over a period of last 3.5 years association with TBC Global, and we find that the sanitation space need to be looked at with a different lens. And I think that global experience need to be contextualized to Indian condition is very important. And as a part of working towards that direction, this TBC India chapter has been initiated jointly by 3 founding institutions: the Tata Trust, Hindustan Unilever, and Lixil Corporation. So these 3 have come together, and these 3 all have different capabilities, and also working in the sanitation space with their substantial experience in the sector. Now, I would see, and you earlier mentioned about, like, India actually has more than 62 billion sanitation circular economy. Now, I think the unlocked potential in the sanitation sector needs to be explored further. As we know that in last 5 years, the government of India's Swachh Bharat mission has actually looked at a very huge shift in terms of behavioral change, in terms of access to sanitation services, both in urban and rural. And now the government has actually announced that India is open defecation free. Considering the first level of challenges been met by the government, I think we see there is a second generation issues are going to come up. And when I say second generation challenges, it's going to be focusing specifically how we can look at the use of sanitation as a resource. So not look at in terms of our sanitation as only a waste, but how can use it as a resource and actually unlock those potential of bringing into some kind of economic value. Considering this whole shift from waste to resource, we need to also look at how we can foster the ecosystem and bring in all stakeholders into this ecosystem so that everyone can play their role effectively. In that context, we look at 3 dimensions, I would say. The first dimension in terms of is broadly a private sector, because I think the government has already done its job quite well, I would say. And now we need to look at how this sustainability element could be taken up by the private sector. And when I say a private sector, it would be broadly a public-private partnership models. So we need to look at, I think, a few core areas. So one of them is about how we can look at the decentralized solutions, because India is a quite complex ecosystem, both in urban, peri-urban, or even rural areas. So how we look at in terms of developing a decentralized solutions, because centralized solutions are going to be capital intensive, which I think maybe not a right way to go forward. So I think look at the decentralized model to find out the right solutions. Second, I think look at the innovation in that space. So not necessarily large businesses would be able to provide the solutions, but I think the small, entrepreneur or a small startup ecosystem will be able to find out some solutions, both on a technology aspects as well as operating model aspects. So we need to actually think through how we can actually bring a small entrepreneurship, provide them a platform so they can actually try, test their technology, their operating models, and I think provide them a handholding support by bringing in the large businesses, which actually brings nuances of the business expansion using the small technology and scale it up across ecosystem. So I think the whole combination of startup ecosystem and large business ecosystem is quite unique feature, which I think the TBC India has started working on since its inception in January 2020. The second element, which I think is very important, that how whatever we create as a solution, it needs to be taken on a scale and also having some kind of a policy influence. So how the government can play a very critical role by recognizing this importance of these players or stakeholders and actually put it into a kind of a policy framework so that the state or ULBs or larger corporations can actually start adopting these solutions on a large scale. So I think the government ecosystem is very, very critical, both in terms of a policy aspects as well as some kind of investment resources into this area. So that way, I think I see a second space, which is the second stakeholder is the government is very critical. The third and important stakeholder is a consumer, I would say. Now, unless and until we make any solution which is consumer centric, or I would say community centric, I think the sustainability challenges would become a little higher. So the TBC also look at the consumer or user as one of the critical stakeholder. Now, as a vision, what we are trying to see that if we can bring all these 3 stakeholders together and find out the appropriate solutions, which can then be adopted by many industries players and contribute for the larger sectoral growth. So it is not specifically looking at only, okay, it would only look at one industry or second industry. But I think as a sectoral growth, how we can contribute, that is very important for us as a vision of the TDC India. And hence, I think it's important for us to work with all these stakeholders and then bringing the global knowledge, global understanding, bringing the, the ecosystem, something on the academia or research institutions, and at the same time, some kind of a platform which promotes this startup ecosystems. How we can actually bring all the stakeholders together and actually bring them into one direction, so that all the energy of multiple stakeholders can be directed into a single direction to find out robust,
Thank you, Divyang.
sustainable, positive impact on ground.
Thank you, Divyang. You know, for outlining this new opportunity for business as as the sanitation sector in India grows on the back of the success and the inspiring success of India's achievements of the Swachh Bharat mission, Clean India campaign of the last 4 years, where India has achieved open defecation free status. And now the critical role that business can play, on the implementation, both by catalyzing ecosystems of entrepreneurs and small businesses to be service providers in this ecosystem of solutions. Large businesses have a role to play in helping to achieve scale. The user, the end user, the end beneficiary of these new solutions, providing access to hygiene and sanitation. So thank you so much, Divyang, for joining us today. And we are so appreciative of our partnership with Tata Trusts over the past years, and excited about this vision going forward. Namaste.